Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button, and more importantly, turn on those notifications. That way you guys get notified when we drop hits like this. This week, Bam is breaking records in the Heat franchise. The Panthers are on fire and climbing up the standings, and we got a big fight in UFC this Saturday. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! And we are back. Good to see you, my dog.
Hey, it's only right, dog. It's 305 day. You know what I mean? We had to do it for the people.
You know, if you're from Miami, shout out to you. Whether you live in Miami or not, you're a 305er. And we wanted to drop this episode on the most important day in Miami, 305, because obviously we got a lot of love for the 305.
Oh, yeah.
Raised here, you know what I'm saying, and got a lot of ties to the city. And it's a good thing to drop some heat on 305, because I know people are going to be off that day, you know, nobody's really working on 305. Everybody's looking forward to that first happy hour they can get to or some shit like that.
Yes, sir.
Which, if you're in Wynwood, go check out La Tropical. They're gonna be having $3.05 pints all day.
Damn.
Yeah. That's right by the crib too.
Yeah.
So
I might have to make an appearance then, dog.
You know. But yeah, man, it's good to see you, dog.
Yes, sir.
You know, I think the last time we spoke, we had to start off with the Heat because of Jimmy Butler trade, and then we kind of had to take some time to see how the team would develop.
Sure.
Right? And now that, you know, Jimmy's gone, we got Wiggins in, we still see some of the main problems, whether or not we had him on the team or not. And more importantly, you know, it has to do with the losses that we take when we are up and should be closing out these games. But before I get to that quote-unquote negative stuff, we got to start with some type of positive. Bam Adebayo breaks the record for most doubles-doubles in Heat franchise, 222.
That was crazy to me to see that.
Right?
And to see the person who he beat and took it from was like, oh wow, this is not who I thought would have had it.
DJ Ronnie Cycli, to be more specific. But he's literally a Heat legend, right?
Yeah.
One of the first draft picks that the Heat had. I think it was the first round pick that he had. And he had an amazing career in such a short time here, right? And really had to put his imprint on the franchise. Because getting double-doubles, especially back then, wasn't easy. You know what I mean? Like, you really had to work on the offensive end to get your 10 points plus every single night.
Yep.
Rebounding maybe came a little bit more natural to him. But
and if you were getting boards, you probably weren't getting points. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? One or the other. Yeah, back in that day.
You know, and for Bam to do it in the way that he did, right, so quickly in that game against Washington, it was just a credit to how underappreciated Bam is, right? Because we always want more from him, right? But we don't necessarily praise him when he does the right things all the time, you know? This is a dude who has great work ethic, always has a positive attitude, comes with a team-first mindset, right? And obviously is putting in the work every night to not only be a contributor on offense, but more importantly, be our best defender every single night against every single opponent.
Sure, yeah.
You know, that takes a lot of work, man.
Absolutely.
And for him to earn this, right, franchise record in a franchise that has Shaq, Wade, Zoe,
Alonzo,
Timmy,
UD.
you know what I'm saying? UD, like all these dudes. And for him to be atop of one of those lists is really a testament to how great he's been in a Heat uniform.
How long have we had Bam now? How many years?
8 years.
So it took him 8 years
seasons,
to do it?
8 seasons, and Ronnie did it in 6 seasons.
Damn, that's impressive.
Super impressive, you know? But back to it, like, it just shows you how hard this dude works, right, at his craft and doing whatever it takes in order for the team to be successful. I don't know if you caught the Netflix special, Code of Gold, where they follow the U.S. Olympics team. If you haven't checked that out, man, I encourage you to do so. But, you know, Bam obviously was a big part of that Olympic gold medal team. And everybody who talked about Bam was saying the same thing. Like, this dude does whatever it takes to win. He does whatever the team needs. If he needs to go out there and score 20, he'll go out there and score 20. If he needs to defend, he'll go out there and defend. Now, granted, he hasn't scored to the level that we want him to see, right? And break into that superstar stratosphere. But there's no doubt that Bam has done everything that he can do for this franchise so far.
He's probably our most valuable player right now, considering Jimmy's gone and everything that he does. So it's great to see him just have another accolade in a Heat jersey, bro. You got to be happy for him. If you're a Heat fan, you can't help but be happy for him. But talk to me about the Heat, dog. I was there last week. I got to see the Hawks game. We actually won that game. And I know we have a little 4-game win streak going on right now. What do you think? Where are we at right now post Jimmy Butler?
Well, we've won 3 out of our last 4 games, right? And in those just to touch on Bam's impact, right? In those last 15 games, he's averaging 21.9 points per game, 9.9 rebounds per game, 4-point assists.
Solid
per game.
Pretty solid,
right? While holding his opponents to 40% field goal shooting percentage or worse.
Yeah, we know that's always going to be there.
So again, it's him doing everything that he can do to make this team better, right? And recently, for me, it feels like we're becoming too hero dependent, right?
Yeah.
We saw Hero blowing up and averaging 30 and killing it and hitting big shots. He had a 40-point game last week. Like, he's been our best offensive player. But on the other side of that, you get those lulls, right? Where the Heat go cold in an entire quarter and nobody can make a basket, and we score 10, 11, 12 points in a quarter while giving up 25, 26, 27, 28. I think the biggest problem that this Heat team has right now, as currently constructed, is that we don't have a finisher, right? We don't know how to finish games. For us to be second in the NBA, or probably now first in the NBA, and blown fourth quarter leads, that's a big problem. Huge problem, because that's 11 games plus, 15 games plus that you look at during the end of the season, and you look at your record and where you're at in the standings, you're like, bro, if we would have got half of those, we would have been 2 spots ahead,
I mean,
3 spots ahead.
Right now we're below 500, and there's already a few games that you could just think of that, it's like we blew it in the fourth.
That Knicks game most recently,
we had how big of a lead?
We were up 11 going into the fourth quarter, and everybody was playing well. Bam was doing good. Hero was doing his thing. You were getting, contributions from Duncan and all the other guys. But then in the fourth quarter, it comes and it's like something goes blank in their head, and these guys haven't figured out how to win and close out games. Now, some people will say, well, that's because we don't have Jimmy now and blah, blah, blah. Okay, true. But there were also games that Jimmy was playing in and we lost in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? This isn't just a stat that happened post-Jimmy. It was throughout the entire season.
Sure.
Right? So
yeah, but then also looking back now, I mean, even going all the way back to last season, those games that we just didn't get enough from Jimmy Butler, frankly, now it's like, fuck, the writing was on the wall already. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't going out last season and giving us 110%. You know what I mean?
Of course not. And even you could even make the argument for the last 2-3 seasons, right? Because just where we've ended up as far as standings go, right? We're like, bro, come on, we're better than a 7th seed. We're better than an 8th seed. This team is much more talented than that.
Yeah.
And now that he find themselves in a position where, like you said, they're under 500, right? 29 and 31, 22 games left in the season. And these next 22 games obviously are going to be extremely critical to where the Heat can position themselves for this playoffs.
Where do we stand currently in the East?
We're right now, I think we're 7th. We're 5 games behind Washington for the 6th seed. 5 games behind Detroit,
That's pitiful, man.
Yeah.
The Detroit, I mean, they were the worst team in the NBA a year ago.
Yeah, and thank God that we played the worst team in the NBA on Monday in Washington, because that's always a good, chicken soup for the soul when you're on a losing streak or you're trying to figure out a way to close out a game, right? For us, I think that the biggest thing is seeing, like, how good can this Heat team be, right? Because you and I both know, and every Heat fans know, like, we're not expected to make a deep playoff run this year, right? Like, the team as constructed is just not good enough to really battle with the Clevelands, the Bostons, you know what I mean?
New York. There's a lot of good teams in the East, and we're looking like a certified play-in tournament team.
Exactly. But I think that if the Heat can figure out a way to close out these games, right, then we could make a push to be in that 6th seed. And that makes a world of a difference, because now you get 3 days extra, right, because the play-in tournament is happening to get guys healthy, figure out who you're playing, set up, for game plans and stuff like that. So, and especially for a team that's led by such a coach like Spo, right, who takes advantage of those things, that's a major thing, right? And like I said, I'm not thinking, coño, we make a deep run, but at least go out there and win our first playoff series, make it a 7-game series, something like that, right?
Surpass our expectations, which our expectations are first round knockout.
Exactly, and like, I mentioned Spo, and I feel like Spo's, for a bunch of reasons, but he's struggling right now with his rotations. In my opinion, in a lot of people's opinion, we're playing Terry Rozier way too much for a guy who's not contributing. Alex Burks getting a ton of minutes, you know what I mean? That, for me, it doesn't make sense. We haven't seen Jaquez really jump into the game too many times, right? Like, and he's having a down season. So for me, it's like he's having a hard time figuring which guys he can depend on, right? That can actually go in the game, contribute, and do something that can help the team win, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, last week it's funny you mentioned Terry Rozier, because last week to the game that I went, he didn't play.
Yeah.
And we won that game.
Coach's decision.
We didn't play. He didn't play that night. We won that game. We actually had, I think, and it's funny because that game, I think it was our first home game back after a little road trip that we had, and everybody went off. So
yeah,
Duncan had 20.
Everybody.
Hero had 20.
Mitchell playing great.
What's that guy's first name?
Davion
Mitchell.
Yeah,
Ballin had a great game that game. Where did okay. He wasn't up there like that, but he had an okay game. Like, it was like the whole team was clicking. Granted, the defense sucked. That was my biggest takeaway. Our defense is trash.
Bad right now.
The Hawks kind of, were able to score at will. We couldn't stop pick and rolls. They were getting to the basket. I didn't see Trae Young's three-point game, but again, they probably, that was the one thing that we were planning for, and then everything else faltered.
Yep.
But eventually, the Hawks defense just couldn't keep up with us in the fourth, and then our offense was still clicking, and we were good. We were able to just kind of steamroll them at the end, but bro, defensively is not looking great.
It's not.
A bunch of liabilities right now on defense.
A lot. And you mentioned Ware. He's one of those guys that we expected to play better defense, but I think that he's just learning what it takes to play defense, right? Sometimes he jumps too early.
Yep.
His timing is off. He goes for the block too many times and gets himself in foul trouble, right? So defensively, we're not as solid as a unit, which makes Bam's role even more important, right? To be the best defender. Thankfully, Davion Mitchell, like you mentioned, has been playing great and really been an X factor for this team on both ends of the court. But they need more, man. They need more. And look, right now they're playing with a limited squad. Like I said, if you don't have Terry Rozier playing well, Jaquez isn't playing well, Jovic, fractured his hand. He's gonna be out for some time now. Like, you gotta find the guys that can contribute at least something. And I think that, guys like Duncan, Mitchell, who's the other guy? Pell Larson, like all these dudes, they need to contribute more consistently. And it doesn't have to be, give me 15-point games, 17-point games. No, dude, but when you're in there and you got the shot, make
Loose
it
balls.
shot.
Go for the loose balls, yeah.
All
that gritty shit that we've normally seen in the past from guys.
Show me some grit, man. Show me some grit, because we can't be too dependent on Hero and Bam, right? We can't just say, well, Bam, go out there and shut this team down, or Hero, go out there and light them up. You can't do that.
Yeah, no, because he's gonna, he can light them up, but if he goes out there and he keeps, being inefficient, then there goes the game. You know what I mean? We can't do anything to bounce back. But I don't know, man. I liked what I saw last week. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It was exciting to watch. Since I really haven't been on Heat basketball and all that stuff with this whole Jimmy stuff, and I haven't cared to really follow it. But these guys that we have are still playing their hearts out. You know what I mean? And they deserve our fandom, because they're still here even through all the the noise and everything through the Jimmy saga. I just think we're still missing a Jimmy-like figure. You know what I mean?
I think we need, like you mentioned, an alpha. We need an alpha, right, whose actual concern is being the alpha and helping the team win. I don't think Jimmy was at that level anymore here in Miami. And this team sorely needs that. But, one thing that we can count on as Heat fans is having the home court advantage. And now, after this game in Cleveland tonight, after that, we got 5 games at home. Playing Minnesota at home, Chicago at home, ends with Boston. Like, winnable games that we can play at home. And I'm not saying go out there and go 4-1, right? But you should be able to go out there and give at least a consistent performance in all those games, right? Because everybody's rested, practices are better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the whole 5-game homestand should be at least 3-2. At least 3-2, right? Where you go out there and you win some games, and maybe you win a game that you don't expect, right?
Sure.
And we've seen the Heat get into those games and be, battling against really good opponents. But then again, in the fourth quarter, it all seems to fall apart, right? So
And it's crazy because it was the third, right? Remember early in the season
Yeah.
they were calling it the third quarter because we would come out of the locker room at the half just so,
Dead, dog.
just so flat. You know what I mean? Like if we didn't just play a whole half of basketball, and now it's the fourth. Either way, it's like we can start off well. We come out of the gate hot. We can make some shots. We can keep up with teams, but then. And it's not about how you start; it's about how you finish. And
Exactly.
we're having an issue finishing right now. So
Exactly. And you know what? I think that this Cleveland game tonight is going to be a good opportunity, right, for the Heat to go out there and say, all right, let's go out there and hang and see what we can measure up against the best team in the East right now, right? Because Cleveland has been having an amazing season, right?
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's been fucking killing it out there, right? Garland out there, like they got a hell of a young squad and they've been playing amazing, right?
Yep.
But we've also seen the Heat play up to competition. We've seen it against the Knicks. We've seen it against Boston. We saw it the other night against Milwaukee, right? Even though we ended up losing that game in the fucking fourth quarter.
Again, yep, there you go.
We've seen ourselves match up against these better teams, and they just falter at the end. If they can do a good job of keeping it close, 2 points, 3 points, and just stay in the mix, then I think that can bode well for the confidence of this team heading into the home stretch. And especially into this next 5-game homestand. We got to get these games, man, because being a 500 team is not where it's at. You want to be at least 2-3 games above 500.
As of right now, we got to be at least 500, dog. We're not even there, you know what I mean? And that's not Heat basketball, so
No.
we need a strong finish to the end of the season. I'll be watching.
Yeah, man. I'm really intrigued to see how that these next 6 games work themselves out, right? Like, let's get a good performance against Cleveland. And let's try to win some games at home, you know what I mean? And get 3 at least at home. Very winnable, very doable.
Yes, sir.
Very doable. Let's flip on over to the best team in South Florida.
Hey-o.
The most consistent team in South Florida. A recent champion in South Florida. That's my favorite team, the Florida fucking Panthers.
Let's go, Cats. Vamos, Gatos.
Vamos, Gatos. Those dudes, dog, are the epitome of consistency.
Yeah. Some bad news came out.
Yeah, man.
Should we start off with that?
We should.
It's probably the most pressing matter right now in Florida Panthers.
Yeah,
news.
the Four Nations tournament happened 2.5 weeks ago. We saw the Kachuk brothers representing for the USA team and really gritting it out. But it came at a big loss for the Panthers, right? Because Matthew Kachuk is now on the IR for the rest of the season. We don't know what type of impact that's going to have on the ice because we know how important he is to this team.
Yeah.
Not necessarily from a goal-scoring standpoint, but the X factor, the toughness, the ability to play with any other player or be on multiple lines. Like, he is so versatile and such a big compliment to this team that his loss is going to be effective immediately. Thankfully, this team is so well built, right? Shout out to GM Bill Zito, like that they can withstand losing their star player because they have other pieces intact that are performing at a high level, right? We still have Reinhardt killing it, Bennett killing it, and now in these recent, 2-3 games, we've seen Alex Barkov really turn up his level of play, right? He contributed 2 goals in the game against Tampa Bay. And that has made the difference for this Panthers team. For these dudes to be on a 4-game win streak, stop an 8-game win streak from a in-state rival, a team that we consistently battle with and try to fight for championships and face in the playoffs. It just shows you the mettle of this team is really focused on what needs to be accomplished, right? Like, yeah, they're happy to be first, second, third, whatever, but they want to be playing consistent and they want to be winning games. And this Panthers thing has really done that. Now,
Going back to Kachuk, from what I'm understanding, it's a groin injury.
Yeah, a groin injury, dog, and we know how that goes.
But there's a chance, depending on how it goes and the recovery goes and all that, that he may be available for the postseason.
I think he will come back, right? Because hockey players are tough and crazy, so he's definitely going to try to come back for the playoffs, right?
That's for sure.
But I think that him having the confidence in the team to say, you guys can do it without me, let me go get healthy, right? That way, when the important shit starts, I'm right there with you guys, is going to be a big, big help for him, right? I feel like he could use some time off because he did go so hard in these last 2 seasons for us. And he deserves some rest. Let's be honest. The man deserves some rest. So I think that even though it's a groin injury, which is obviously tricky, right? Because it's not like, oh, he broke a wrist or something like that. You can mend it, and now you know in 6 weeks he'll be back. You know, that groin injury is like a hamstring, right? You never know, like, how quickly it heals and how quickly it'll take him to feel back to that normal level. But when we talk about how this team is built, right, I think it's built to withstand big hits. I think it's built to withstand being down your best player, being down your best goalie, being down your best defenseman, whatever it is, and this team can respond. Because it really is a team effort with these dudes, man. And if you didn't watch that Tampa Bay game, you missed it, because I know it was going on at the same time at the Heat game, but, you know, picture in picture, box in box, come on, guys. Figure it out.
I said I got Game Cast, dog. I don't got that.
It's 2025, dog. Figure it out. Put another TV outside or something.
Come on. This guy's made of money over here with all these screens going at the same time.
Exactly. But I think that, you know, this team is built to withstand stuff like that, and it's built for the playoff run.
Now, granted, we are built for that, but obviously somebody like Matthew Tkachuk goes down, you got to make some sort of moves to kind of backfill the guys that are now backfilling him. Yep. What have we done, or what are we looking to do?
Big Bill Zito, man. That dude is always forward thinking. You know, he made a trade for a defenseman. I think his name is Seth. Yes, I knew I wanted to say Seth, but I wanted to make sure. Seth Jones, we got him from the Chicago Blackhawks and a 4th-round pick. And we ended up trading Spencer Knight.
Oh, no, not Spencer Knight, not my dog.
But that just shows you how good we built him up, right? This is a dude that we got from, you know, pretty much nothing. He built
Didn't we draft Spencer Knight?
Yes, built him up. Had him work his way in
he took Bobrovsky's job for a little while. You know, he's been his backup.
Backed up Big Bob, right, and was a good backup, filled in, won a bunch of games, made a ton of saves, and became such a valuable piece that other teams were calling and saying, no, we want this guy. We want him in our goal every night, right? Just shows you how good, again, Bill Zito's vision is for this team. But I think the biggest thing that we can take away from the trade is that even though we're losing some physical power offensively from having Tkachuk out, we're kind of shoring up the defense a little bit more to say, all right, maybe we're going to be able to win these games 4-2, 3-1 all the time. Let's go ahead and start winning some games 2-0, 2-1, and keep them and be a more defensive-minded team. And this dude's already paying dividends. You know, he almost scored in that Tampa Bay game. He had, I think, 6 key passes, you know, that led to chances. And just put in a good shift, you know, on the defensive side against a good Tampa Bay team, right? That's obviously an in-state rival and always up to the task. But I think that the move itself just shows you how forward-thinking the Panthers are, because they're like, all right, we lost one of our best players. Let's shore up the defense. Well, we need an extra draft pick. Let's grab a 4th-round draft pick. You know,
we need Bill Zito to like host a conference or something for all the other GMs in South Florida.
South Florida sports.
Yeah, a summit. You know what I mean? Like on how to be a GM, bro. Because the guy don't miss, bro. The guy knows what he's doing.
Nah, and like I said, you know, I think the biggest thing that Bill has done for this franchise is focus on the now while keeping an eye on the future. Focus on the now, eye on the future. Getting Reinhardt, getting, you know, all these guys that we've accumulated getting Tkachuk,
Sam Bennett, Verhaeghe.
You know, like signing Verhaeghe to a big deal. Like all these things have added up to the success that the Panthers have, right, and are having. And it just shows you why they're the most consistent team in South Florida. You know what I mean? For them to be 38, 21, and 3 is a big deal. A big deal, because at some point earlier in the season, we talked about it. but they had a little bit of a slow start, right? Weren't necessarily leading the division, and now after this run, boom, they're right back up in it, they're tied for the division with Toronto. 7 points behind the conference league and behind Washington. Like, they're right where they want to be, in the hunt, right? And in the place at the top where they can get home ice advantage and continue their dominance at home. The fact that these guys have gone 9-2 in their last 11 games, again, just shows you how focused this team is. How focused. And this was going into that break where, sometimes when you come back from a break, right, as a professional, you kind of lose the focus a little bit. The team, separates. Not everybody stays in South Florida or whatever.
Right.
And then you lose some of that mojo, some of that momentum.
Yeah, the steam that you have built.
Not with this team, bro.
No,
this
they pick up right where they left off.
Turn it on.
Yeah, it's kind of, you talked about the beginning of the season, a little, championship hangover, you know what I mean? They're still shaking that off.
A little bit.
Once they got right back in it, they figure it out, you know what I mean? So, yeah, bro, good things are happening right now over in Sunrise.
And the guys that we need to step up are stepping up. Barkey stepping up, Big Bob stepping up, Reinhardt stepping up, Bannon stepping up.
Yo, is there a chance that we get Brady Kachuk at some point on our team?
That would be so badass, but I think the NHL would be like, yo, you guys, that's too much.
You think so?
Yeah.
They'd step in for something like that?
They'll pull some shit off like, oh, hey, cancel that trade. You know what I mean?
Damn.
The
boys were buzzing, obviously, after the Four Nations tournament or whatever. It was like, man, to have both those guys going at it each night, bro.
Dude.
It'd be crazy.
It'd be crazy. And I don't know if that's ever happened in the NHL, right, where two brothers play on the same team. I'm pretty sure it has, but we'd have to.
We could be the first, dog. We could make it happen.
Well, it'd be a first down here because I don't think we've had another sports franchise in South Florida have two brothers at the same time, right? Not on the Marlins. Maybe the Hurricanes. You know what I mean? Maybe the Hurricanes.
We've had players that have had brothers actively.
Right. But never on the same
Caleb
team.
Martin.
Yes, when he was with us and
Mike Pouncey.
The Pouncey brothers.
I'm trying to think if I could go for one more. There has to be a Marlin that we had that had a brother out there. Oh, Hernandez. We had Livana and yeah. There we go.
And
we had both of them.
And the Duque never made it. I don't think the Duque made it here.
The Marlins had both of them.
Yes, but
not at the same time.
Not at the same time. Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, gotta love what the Panthers are doing.
Good tangent.
They're killing it. They're gonna continue to kill it, and I think that this home streak that they're gonna be taking on. Let me see how their schedule's looking for the next couple of days. Yeah, so they'll be playing tonight on Thursday, against Columbus. Is that at home? Yep. 2 more games at home. Thursday and Saturday versus Buffalo before they head to the road to take on Boston, Toronto, and Montreal. That's a big swing right there because that's a 6-game road trip that they're going to be embarking on.
And not an easy one either. Toronto, Boston,
Montreal, New York, Columbus, and then again Washington, who's leading the conference.
The Rangers ain't doing really shit this year, but Toronto and Boston. We're behind Toronto right now in points, right?
We're tied, 79 points apiece.
Okay, and then we got Boston up there too.
Yep, they're creeping.
That's gonna be an important little run to keep an eye out for.
They made a trade too to add some more firepower to get ready for this second half. I don't know. I think that the Panthers are continuing to be successful and consistent, and B, really preparing themselves for another deep playoff run. I think that was the move behind putting Kachuk on the IR and just saying, you know what, bro, let us put you there. We'll free up some money. We can probably add another piece or two before the deadlines close or whatnot. But we'll be able to make it to that top 2 spots, top 3 spots, and then have a fully healthy Kachuk. That's probably the best thing that we could hope for this Panthers team.
And Zito, I trust, dude.
And Zito, we fucking trust, dog, for sure. I even thought about it today on the drive up. I was like, damn, dog, I gotta get me a Barkov jersey before it shit. You know what I'm saying? Before it becomes a real vintage, a classic timepiece. I was like, I gotta get Barky, dog. I want another player like a Kachuk.
I want that Kachuk jersey.
Kachuk is probably the most popular one, but I'm like, yo, Barky's the OG.
But real ones know. Real ones know. You gotta get a Barky jersey.
Get the Barky.
Wouldn't be a bad move, dude. Wouldn't be a bad move.
No. Maybe we can get a 2-for-1 special. We gotta holla at the Panthers.
Holla. We know you're watching.
We gotta holla at the Panthers. You know me, man. I'm a big fight fan. And one of my favorite fighters is fighting this Saturday. That's Alex Pereira.
Botan
Shama. He's a badass, dog. And the crazy thing, and as I was doing the research for this fight, I was like, bro, this motherfucker in 2023, 2024 fought 7 times.
Damn.
7 times.
And in different weight classes,
whack
too.
opponents, you know what I'm saying? Like
No, champions and different weight
fights,
classes.
You know, like he's defending his belt for the 5th straight time. And it's just like, dog, what else can this guy do, dog? You know what I mean?
Fight John Jones?
Yeah, that's next, right? Like, that's the obvious next thing for him, dog,
Yeah, maybe.
to fight for him. Bro,
Depends if Dana White has it in the cards.
I'm pretty sure he does, bro, because I know that Jones is gonna fight Aspinall, right? Later on this year. We're gonna get to see that. But if Jones comes out victorious in that fight, it only makes sense to let Botan go up there and say, yo, put on the weight, my boy, go fight this guy and have it be the mega fight of the UFC over the last 5-10 years since like probably Conor was around.
I think that's a bigger fight than Jones Aspinall.
100%.
I know the UFC hardles are like, no, dude, but Aspinall, you know, he's a true heavyweight champ. He's a different breed. I'm sorry, bro. We're talking about John Jones here, and then when we're talking about stardom and superpower, I mean, Pereira has that.
And the way that their careers have been so similar, dog. Like, again, this dude is fighting for the umpteenth time, fighting for a belt for the umpteenth time, defending his championship belt for the fight. Nobody else has done that since John Jones. You know what I'm saying? And again, freaky similar is John Jones took on every single top challenger that there was for him. Anybody that was like, yo, this guy could give him a problem. He went out there, took on the fight, performed, and won. Pereira has done the same shit. Oh, this is his biggest challenge. Go out there, fight him, kick his ass. Go out there, fight the next guy, kick his ass too. And I feel like this is going to be the same type of fight, right? Because with all due respect to Ankalaev, and he is an amazing fighter. If you guys haven't heard of him, guys has only lost one fight in the UFC since 2018 when he came in. And that was his first fight in the UFC.
That's impressive.
Right? He's fought for the belt.
7 years and he hasn't lost?
Yeah, bro.
Damn.
And he's fought for the belt. He fought John Blachowicz, and it came out to a draw. And I think he got hurt, and he didn't get a chance to fight for the belt again. But now he has this opportunity against Alex. But Alex right now is in his prime. One thing that Ankalaev does is he has serious punching power. He loves to stand and bang, right? He loves to knock dudes out, and he's finished 3 of his last 4 opponents with knockouts. So I think that this is another formidable real deal opponent for Alex, and we're gonna be able to see Alex continue his greatness if he does get the victory and knocks out Ankalaev, right? Because I'm 1,000% sure that this fight's not going to the ground. I'm 1,000% that neither one of these guys are gonna try to fucking submit the other, right? So we're gonna see somebody get knocked out on Saturday.
Love that.
Absolutely, man. One bad thing about the card though is that the Justin Gaethje fight versus Dan Hooker had to get replaced because Dan Hooker broke his hand.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, bro, he broke his hand last week, and then they had to find a replacement.
Who's replacing him?
Damn.
Yeah, if you don't know, no worries. But
yeah, I do.
I'm just curious because Gaethje, the last time we saw him, he was sprawled out in the middle of the octagon getting rocked by Max Holloway.
Yeah. Which is funny, bro, because Dustin Poirier just posted a picture today or a video of him getting knocked out by Justin Gaethje. And Justin Gaethje has said it, you know, like in this game and in this division, we either kill each other or we don't. And it's no, we're going to the draws or we're going to go to the scores decisions. Nah, bro, I'm finishing you, you're finishing me. And all those guys have been able to do that. But Dan Hooker had to get surgery, and then the guy stepping in for Dan Hooker is an opponent that Justin has faced before. Bro, why is my shit going so slow?
Let me look it up for you.
Damn. But yeah, it's a familiar opponent.
Rafael Fiziev.
Him. You know, and you got to give that dude a ton of credit, right, for taking a fight on short notice, being ready.
12-3 in his UFC career.
And one of those losses was to Justin. So you know he's coming with some type of revenge factor. And for a lot of people who don't know this, a lot of the guys that are fighting on these cards, right, if they're on this card, they know that if an injury happens, there is somebody there to replace them in 90% of the cases.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of those guys are in a fight camp mode because they know that they can get the call at any time and say, hey, we need you to jump in and you got to be ready.
Yep.
Especially in that division. It's a fucking hell of a deep division, and there's so many killers in there. So you have to be ready for any opportunity that presents itself. And for him to take on that fight and be excited about it, just shows how much of a warrior he is. So much so that Justin even, said it. Like, I couldn't fight Holloway, I couldn't fight Dustin, I couldn't fight this dude, I couldn't fight this dude. Just this other Rafael jumped in and decided to take the fight and get the rematch. All credit to him, because if not, that card probably would have gone to shit, right? But I'm interested to see what that fight is going to look like because of the revenge factor. Now, would I prefer to see Dan Hooker? Of course, because that would have been another brawl, right? Where two dudes are standing up, willing to knock each other's head off and take a loss if it means that they can potentially get the knockout. So this Saturday is going to be fun. I'm expecting Alex to win, right? I'm expecting Alex to win, but I wouldn't be shocked, right, if Ankalev won. I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, yeah, it's the UFC. You know, how many times have we seen that happen? You know what I mean? Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, where the Usman was winning that whole fight like everybody thought up until the very last second where he got kicked in the face and his whole world changed, That's the UFC. That's why we watch it. But I'm excited. I'll be looking forward to it. But while we're still talking about the fighting, combat sports world, there was a big fight that happened this weekend. Personally, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I was enthralled by the internet's reaction as to what happened. And then when I kind of saw a little bit about what happened, I was also kind of surprised because I'm a big Tank Davis fan. And apparently this guy, Lamont, pieced him up and gave him a run for his money. And some people even thought that it shouldn't have been what it ended up being, which was a draw.
Lamont Roach Jr. put on the performance of his life that night.
I've been waiting to talk to you about this.
He really, really neutralized Davis in all aspects, right? There were times where Davis would load up and try to push him, and we've seen so many dudes fall to Davis's power.
Yep.
But Lamont stood tall and was in the pocket every single time, wasn't running around, landed big ass punches on himself, and even got a knockdown in my opinion, but they didn't call it as a
That was one of the controversies of the night.
It was a big controversy because he punched him, then Tank started blinking and he took a knee, and then he ran to his corner. I didn't like the way that the referee handled that for two reasons. Number one, I think it was the round before that or 2 rounds before that, Davis was in the corner and he was trying to get his eye fixed and wipe his face and all this stuff. And the round had already started. The seconds were already ticking. It's yo, either you're ready to fight or you're not. So I feel like that could have been a point deducted, right? And even let's say he bypasses that and says, you know what, first warning, whatever. That knee that Davis took would have been considered a knockdown. Would have probably gave Lamont the edge in the fight because he probably would have won on having a 10-8 round, right? And it wouldn't have been a majority draw. It would have been a split decision win for Lamont. And now he has another belt and gets himself to an even bigger title contention. But I think the real winner that night was boxing fans and Lamont Roach Jr. Because now Lamont Roach knows that he can hang with Tank and he could probably beat Tank on a better night. I'm sure that there are things that he'll pick off and say, man, I could have done this better. I should have started earlier or whatever. But I don't think that we've seen Tank get outperformed, right? And that was the first time that we saw him get outperformed.
And there's a rematch clause in the contract, so we are definitely going to see these two face off again.
I hope it happens soon. You know what I mean? It needs to happen before the year's over.
You think so? You think that soon?
Yeah, man. Because if you think about it, we're in. That fight happened at the end of February, beginning of March, right? And if they can get ready by October, right, that's 6 months for you to recover, study your tape, start your training camp again, and have a huge fight towards the end of the year, possibly in Vegas. Because now they were fighting in Brooklyn, and so many people are going to want to see this rematch that they can possibly move it to a bigger venue, make it a bigger draw, and probably get better cards on there. Yeah, man, I really think that Lamont deserved the decision. I was kind of shocked that it was a majority draw, but that's how boxing is nowadays, bro.
Rigged?
It's not rigged, bro, but it's just so tough to call, right? Because and this is the shit that I hate now about boxing. A, you're not doing live scoring, and then B, for whatever pay-per-view is putting on the fight, they have some guy scoring the fight, and sometimes that guy's way fucking off, and you see oh, he just gave this round to Lamont, and Tank won that round clear, and it's yo, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're giving the fans and the viewerships at home some false reading or on how the fight is going, right?
Right.
So that's my biggest pet peeve, man, with boxing right now. But I think that this fight was a great fight. And I think that the rematch could even potentially be better because now these two dudes are going to have something else to prove, right? Like, yo, I really won that fight. Tank really thought that he won that fight. Lamont
Really thought he won that fight.
really thought he won that fight. So now the rematch should be theoretically better.
I'll definitely be tuning in for that. So I'm looking forward to that rematch.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I did want to talk to you about the Dolphins because we've been seeing some trade rumors over the past couple of weeks, right? Revolving around a star player that had a little bit of a controversy as well, right, towards the end of the season, and that's Tyreek Hill. A lot of people were speculating that the Dolphins would try to trade him. There were talks about him going to Washington or another AFC team. And we saw Deebo Samuel get traded over there
to the Commanders.
To the Commanders for a 5th rounder. I don't know. In my mind, it might be the right time to trade Tyreek, right? But it also depends on how soon we do it and what do we get back from him, right? Like, because we're not getting a 5th rounder back from him. It needs to be way better than that. It needs to be in that second,
absolutely.
3rd round range, right? I'm kind of interested to get your thoughts on it, on whether or not we should try to move off of him, listen to offers. What do you think?
Tyreek is a special player, bro. Even with all the shit at the end of the season, kind of how it all went down, how he took himself out of the last game, these damn mosquitoes in our studio, in my damn outdoor podcast studio. Yeah, that's what we need. But, it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. You know what I mean? Is he truly committed to the Dolphins? Is he being a crybaby? He's since then come back, to 180 and said he's fully committed to the Dolphins and being here and all that. So it's like, hey, man, if the guy's bought in, he is a game changer when he's on the field. He's one of the best, if not arguably the best wide receiver in the game. You could argue that just off of his numbers and what he's been able to do in his career. But if we were going to move away from him, the only thing that I want to move away from him for is to reinforce that O-line.
Yeah.
Because that right now is our biggest problem, frankly, as far as, the Dolphins are concerned. We need people that can block properly, that aren't going to miss games, and that can just protect the way that they needed to protect as an offensive lineman. Yeah. Eichenberg isn't getting it done anymore, bro.
No.
You know what I mean? Armstead is hurt half the year, you know what I mean? And then even when he's healthy, there's still some times where it's questionable, and that's our guy. That's the main guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of question marks there. If we were going to use Tyreek to leverage reinforcing that, then I'm all for it. But if you're telling me we're going to go out and get a 3rd or a 4th round pick for him, or two picks, and it's like, I can't wait that long. I need shit right now this season coming up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it has to be something that is formidable right now, right? Like you said, a 2nd or 3rd round pick where we're like, all right, we can target an extra offensive lineman and really shore up the offensive line. I think they have recognized that the offensive line is their biggest need this year. And they're doing things now to kind of get ready for when free agency starts and the draft comes up. You talked about Teron Armstead. Great when he plays, right? Not amazing. Great when he plays. But how often does he play, right? And how often did he play hurt? Now, the good thing about him is that, he took his cut in his salary. Now he's going to be making closer to the league minimum or the veteran minimum, which I think is like right under $2 million. So you went from having a $13 million lineman that doesn't really play as often or is always hurt to $2 million. That makes the hit a little bit easier, right? Especially if he can't be as consistent. But I think that the Dolphins have put an extra emphasis on the future, right? I think that's why we saw Patrick Paul play a lot in his place last year. And they'll probably bring back Teron, with the thought of like, all right, let's go ahead and pass the torch off to Paul, teach him the ropes, teach him all the tricks and stuff like that. And maybe we see Paul play a lot more this year. But I think you're right. I think that for us to trade Tyreek, we have to get an immediate return, right? And the immediate return has to be a 2nd round pick because that's when you would want to go and get an offensive lineman. Now, we do also have a 1st round pick, right, 13th, where I feel like we should make that the pick. I know it's not sexy. It's not something that people want to see and say, coño, let's go get this guy or this guy's on the board. But if we're being honest with ourselves, right, we know that the biggest problem with the Dolphins is the offensive line. The defensive line could use some help too, but it's not as glaring
as the offensive line.
you know. And then it all ties into how bad this team performed last year because the offensive line was bad, which caused Tua to play a little bit more worried, right, and do things that are a little bit extra somewhat, which ended up costing his, because he got knocked out a couple of times, and it ended up being a detriment to his health and obviously a detriment to the team, because when you don't have QB1, you know, how are you going to win games in the NFL?
Yep.
You know?
The other question that we have, you know, as far as players that we want to keep is, you know, on defense, Javon Holland. You know, they chose not to franchise tag him.
Huge.
So now he's officially going to be a free agent. He's a guy that I personally like. We drafted him. He had made an immediate impact. You know, he's played at a high level for the last few years. I think last year with the injury and stuff kind of, you know, took a step back a little bit, regressed a little bit, but I think the kid has a lot of potential.
For sure.
And, you know, I think that's, for me, it's important. I think that we re-sign the guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins let him, you know, go get his bag somewhere else.
I mean, he's as close to a Pro Bowler as you can get, right, without actually having made the Pro Bowl, just on talent and what he's done in the Dolphins uniform. But in my mind, with Javon, it's like, all right, you're great, but you're also not a game changer, right? You're not an X factor. You're just another cog in the wheel, right? A very important cog, but just another cog in the wheel. I think that for the Dolphins, especially, again, credit to Chris Greer, right, with the recent success that he's had in the draft, I think that we can find a playmaking safety, you know, that can be much more cheaper than what we would have to pay Javon Holland. Because here's what I don't want, right? And I told this to a coworker the other day. I'm tired of spending money on re-signing a guy, giving him the cash, and then not having that guy perform at the same level. You know, and that's a big fear for me for Javon Holland. Because he plays so physical, because he plays a tough position, like, if we give him that money, does he go out there and play harder, miss a couple of games, and we lose those games, or not available for the important games? Like, those are things that run into my mind, and it's like, well, if that's the two choices, I'd rather invest in some type of youth.
Sure.
Right? Because at some point, this team is going to have to get younger. Yeah, you got to have veterans on the squad and shit like that, but you got to have young playmakers on a team, especially on defense. And we saw the impact that can have with the Philadelphia Eagles. Probably the MVP of that game was the rookie who fucking, you know, had a pick, scored a touchdown, all of this in this rookie season, playing on one of
Cooper DeJean.
You know, playing on one of the best defensive teams out there.
No, and to your point, you know, you look the same Eagles. They, you know, that wasn't the only rookie that they had starting in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They had another defensive back. They had Jalen Carter, you know, at defensive line. You know, and then going back to us, you know, we had Christian Wilkins, who, you know, was a fan favorite here. We had a great time, but he got a little too big for, you know, his britches, you know, and he needed to get paid, and we understood, and we let him go have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might be the same situation where, you know, hopefully your boy Chris Greer can go out and find us some new talent, you know, to backfill in this draft.
He's done it.
Yeah.
Right? He's done it. We can count him on, you know, on and on about the players that he's found, right, that we've drafted. Even a guy like Jalen Phillips, right, who's coming back next year off his injury.
And Brad Chubb.
Brad Chubb is
we didn't draft him, but
he's a coin toss, you know, whether or not he stays or we cut him to save some money to invest in the O-line or probably get a defensive tackle, right, to make those guys' job on the edge a little bit easier, because Chop Robinson really showed some serious mettle last year, you know what I mean, as a rookie. So that's what I mean about impactful players that are rookies or second-year players. Like, I think that we need a better balance of that, right? We were too heavy on the veteran side. Now we need to find a better balance, and I think that the draft is going to be a good opportunity for that.
Looking forward to that.
7 draft pick, man. 7 draft picks, like.
And who knows? Maybe even more.
Right?
Could be. The Dolphins make a move.
Got to do something, man.
Damn, look at us talking about Dolphins football in March.
I mean, NFL is king, man. NFL is king. Speaking of NFL being king, draft combine, we got to shout out the Hurricanes. Cam Ward didn't go out there and do his thing, but we're excited about his potential to be a top 3 pick. I think whoever drafts him is going to get a solid quarterback.
Is he going to go number 1 overall?
I think so, you know, but you never know with these things, right? Because everybody's talking rumors, Titans trade the pick, Giants move up, Shador Sanders go first. It's like, we don't know until we get like at least a day before, right, where things get a little bit more concrete. But I just think that it's a testament to him, right, and how he carries himself, that so many teams are considering moving up or drafting him, right? Like, for you to be a number 1 pick means a lot. But yeah, man, it was good to see Ward out there. not participating in the combine, but supporting his guys, right? Like I saw a clip of him getting Xavier Restrepo ready, right? Throwing him some balls, hyping up Andy Borgales. Shout out to Andy. Hopefully he's the first kicker drafted off the board. And just being there for his guys just shows you how much of a team player that guy is and how much he cares about his guys. And believe it or not, man, GMs are looking for that shit, especially in the quarterback position. Can you have that type of mentality, that type of aura, that type of pool where you can walk into a locker room and say, yo, this is what we're going to do, and go out there and do it yourself, right? But yeah, I was excited to see Cam out there. Pro Day's coming up for the Hurricanes on the 24th. I'm going to see if the plug could hook us up.
Yeah.
Vic.
Come on, Vic.
I might just call out of work that day.
Come on, Vic.
Come on. And one last thing before we wrap up, because we're still on the topic of football. The legend, Jimmy Johnson himself, retired from his TV analyst job, at Fox Sports.
31 years he did?
Yeah, bro. This dude is in his own right a legend on so many levels.
I mean,
collegiate, NFL, post NFL, like
Hall of Famer, a football Hall of Famer,
a human Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Because everything that guy has done and how many lives that guy has impacted in a positive way is like endless, and he's made so many teams, so many players better. He's made a ton of fans fall in love with the game of football, right? Just how he talks about it, how passionate he is on the show, and the energy he brings, you know what I mean? It's really, really, really inspiring to see that guy and what he's done in his life, man. And I just wanted to give him a shout out, you know what I mean, and wish him a happy retirement. I know he's going to be in the Keys a lot, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to catch Jimmy, you can drive on down there, jump in your boat, and you'll catch him out there fishing for sure and drinking some beer, man. But if there's one person who deserves retirement, it's Jimmy, bro. He's had a hell of a career.
Thank you, Coach.
The man. He's the one who started the legend at UM, bro.
Yeah, the swagger.
Started, but he invented the swagger.
He definitely brought the swag to the U.
He invented the swagger, He invented the swagger, dog. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. We got Marlins opening day coming up on the 27th. We'll see about the fucking Marlins. Not excited about that at all.
We're gonna go to a Marlins game for a sacco punishment, right? Because one of our
buy tickets for everybody.
One of our sacco punishments is the sacco is gonna be shamed by we have to dress him up as a clown
and go to a game,
sign and go to a public game. And frankly, the Marlins game are the cheapest games, and
for sure.
they're gonna have the most of them. So we're gonna go, but really, it's gonna feel like a sacco punishment for us because we have to go to a damn Marlins game.
Hopefully, a good team is in town, and that day Sandy's pitching.
That's what I'm hoping for.
If he's still here.
If he's still here, I can't believe that we still got him.
But he'll be the opening day starter
Goddamn
for
shame.
Sure. Yeah, Marlins, bro. What a frustrating franchise, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not worth too much.
We'll
time.
say less. Anyways.
But BKFC is coming back to the Hard Rock Thursday, March 27th. Your boys are gonna be in the building. What a main event! Palomino versus HD Davis. Bro,
Two South Florida legends, bare knuckle legends.
Bro, it's a Dave versus Broward thing. You
know
what I mean? Like legend,
the former champ versus the up and coming.
Like an amazing fight, and I'm excited for both of them, right? Because Palomino's had his time off. He wanted a fight in that last card. They couldn't get him a fight, and he's been having a visit back and forth with BKFC, and maybe some people ducking him. And for HD, it's an opportunity to be a headliner, go out there and show why he's the best in that division, and go out there and beat a BKFC legend, right?
Yeah.
I think that this card is going to be one of the most explosive cards. I'm excited to see what those fights unfold, man, because even though we have our guys that we know and we go out there and see, we support and whatnot, I think the best thing that BKFC does is put really good fights on every single card, and you're always going to get that action pack,
this past week, they had a crazy brawl. It was 8 knockdowns in that.
8 knockdowns in a bare knuckle fight. That was a war. How hard that shit is, because these dudes are really punishing each other, dog. Like you can hear those punches from, and how hard.
And they get up and they come right back, dog. So BKFC is the next one up, man.
It takes a different type of animal for
I'm
sure.
I'm glad we got it in there because those are always fun to go to. They always put on good events.
Hell yeah. Who else is Perdomo? That's the guy I'm looking for right there.
And you got Justin. All the favorites, man. All the South Florida favorites.
El Caballo, our homeboy, the Cuban Hernandez. Perez Rodriguez, what's this guy, the Cuban horse?
Yeah.
That guy's another knockout artist. Like, we know Perdomo's knockout.
Every single person
in
he
under a
faces.
minute. So you know, it's exciting. Man.
Fireworks,
it's exciting.
baby. Fireworks
at BKFC, man. So if you guys are gonna be in the building, let us know. We'd love to say what's up and maybe walk you to the media area, have a drink or something like that. But yeah, man, we're gonna be out there March 27th. Go get your tickets at BKFC. And you can definitely watch it on the Zone and even on the BKFC app for cheaper, $7. So don't miss it. You're not gonna want to miss it because it's exciting, man. It's exciting. But yeah, bro. I mean, that's pretty much.
Let's wrap this sucker up.
Let's wrap this sucker up, dog. We want to appreciate you guys for tuning in. We know that we're not dropping as many episodes as we have before, but every episode continues to get better, more quality, more interviews, more sports, more in-depth knowledge. More opinions and more talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and now you're just rambling. From everybody here at Sports with SoSo, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
You know what to do. You got to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell another friend.
To tell everybody they know.
To fucking hit that like, comment, and subscribe button and turn on those notifications because we're going to keep bringing you these episodes. Until next time. Peace.
I'm going home.